The culture back then was more of facelifts and incremental advancements. Real auto trends or tech trends were set by the East or the West. We've historically looked to, say, Japan,
China now.
Germany, Italy, USA for various formats of technology, advancements, vehicles, design, all of that. But why in 70 plus years? I mean, this is something that deeply used to trouble me, or to the extent of it used to hurt me as a designer. We have the talent, we have the ideas, but why are we playing it safe?
I think 2026 we're looking at an operational break-even, and 27 will be an EBITDA.
Lovely. And then IPO at some point.
I mean, that's something we have our eyes on, but don't want to get distracted by that. There's other milestones to go. But I think a 24-month window should be something to consider from an IPO preparation or a process perspective.
Tesla wasn't the first electric vehicle, but it was the first vehicle that captured your imagination, wanted you to own electric.
Cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what was all of it that went into making that happen? We spent time in the US back in 2015. Spoke to a lot of Tesla owners, understood their mindset. Most of them owned a German car in the garage, but wanted to be seen around in the Tesla. And a lot of this culture, subculture started happening in and around the...
So that aspiration factor was huge.
Yes.
Okay.
And that came from performance. EV scooter market today, market share is between EV players. Today for us, market share is from ICE players, right? So it was a very different mentality that we had to take.
In 2016, Ultraviolette began with a simple but a risky idea that motorcycles don't have to be boring. But ideas are easy, putting them on roads as full-blown machines is what the journey is all about. Welcome to Autocar Professional. This is Start to Scale, where we talk to founders, go beyond the headlines and get the real journey out. Today, I'm joined by Mr. Narayan Subramaniam, who's the co-founder and CEO at Ultraviolette. He is going to talk about how today the company is not just about building bikes, it is about building a global brand. So Narayan, it's been such an incredible journey, 10 years, almost there. What are some of the learnings? Because you had to learn, unlearn, relearn a lot of things. Let's just start with that. Such a long journey, took a lot of time to build up from scratch. How was that, and what are the learnings from your 10-year journey?
I mean, wow, that's a pretty loaded question, but I mean, I don't realize that it's been 10 years. It's been such a blur, you know, right from when we were a 3-member team to today, 500 plus people and multiple products on the road and multiple cities across the country, right? So that, I think from the perspective of this conversation, Start to Scale, I don't think of a better way to articulate the story than what it's taken for us across a decade, right? Wow. So when we started in 2016, let me take a step before that as well. Neeraj and I, my co-founder Neeraj and me go back a long way. We've known each other right from school. We were competing for rank in class and then went to the same university post-school. Worked on several creative engineering projects. In fact, our first working with lithium batteries started in 2005. This was for a competition, one of the IITs, which was based on a given amount of a finite energy source. What's the longest flight time that you can achieve? So we were building electric aircrafts back in the day, and that's when working with lithium actually came into our forte, right? You know, but back then it was more hacky ways to solve things, but we got down to the fundamentals. Over the next, say, 3 years of college, we worked on several such projects: submersibles, amphibious vehicles, automobiles, robotics, hardcore robotics, drones, whatnot, right? And this gave us a really good DNA of design and engineering-led innovation, right? Because the future wasn't just pure automotive engineering incrementally advancing. The future was different streams. I'd say our vehicles are more robots on wheels than an automobile with some tech on it, right? It's a very different approach that we've taken, but the foundation goes back to our time spent at university and all of these projects that were key to that. So post that, we tried a drone startup in 2009 and 10, didn't have the expertise of figuring out how to raise funds, how to scale the idea, We got to proof of concept stage. Then we went down our independent career paths. I got into 2 masters in automobile design.
Yeah.
One at NID Ahmedabad and the next one at Umeå in Sweden. The intent of going to Sweden was the culture back then was more of facelifts and incremental advancements. Real auto trends or tech trends were set by the East or the West. We've historically looked to, say, Japan,
China now.
Yeah. Germany, Italy, USA for various formats of technology, advancements, vehicles, design, all of that. But why in 70 plus years? I mean, this is something that deeply used to trouble me, or to the extent of it used to hurt me as a designer.
Yeah.
We have the talent, we have the ideas, but why are we playing it safe? Right? I understand if this conversation or debate was to be had 5 decades ago, but today
What's stopping us?
Yes, what's stopping us? I think we've gotten too complacent with incremental advancements. But now you've seen the world of electrics has disrupted that thought process. So we were forecasting that. Parallelly, Neeraj was working with Yahoo and NetApp in the US. Both of us, I was in, I think in Europe, working in Germany at that point. 2015 is when both of us decided to come back to India. Tesla's story was quite inspiring from the 2008-9 with the Lotus Elise platform and the laptop batteries, right? From that project to the Model S becoming commercial success in, say, 2014. The pace at which a company like that was able to take an idea from a bare-bone proof of concept to something that people aspired to own. Tesla wasn't the first electric vehicle, but it was the first vehicle that captured your imagination, wanted you to own
Made it
electric.
cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what was all of it that went into making that happen? We spent time in the US back in 2015. Spoke to a lot of Tesla owners, understood their mindset. Most of them owned a German car in the garage, but wanted to be seen around in the Tesla. And a lot of this culture, subculture started happening in and around the...
So that aspiration factor was huge.
Yes.
Okay.
Massive, and that came from performance. No other EV brand in the past had ever prioritized performance. It was all shown as your gasoline costs you this much and
cost of ownership, total cost, and basically cost benefit analysis, and it would appeal to your rational mind, whereas you are sort of making it cool and aspirational at the same time.
And automobiles are not rational purchases. And I'll tell you this, no matter what your budget is, your budget for a car may be 4 lakhs today or 4 crores tomorrow, it is still completely irrational. You would want your basics to be in place, but beyond that, what speaks to you is the brand, the design language, the heritage, the tech that comes onto the platforms and all of that, right? So we prioritized tech performance design at the core of what we do. We were certain when we started incorporating the company itself that we are going to stand for this, whatever segments we want to get into. We also have to time it right so the market is ready. Sometimes it is good to be ahead of the curve. Sometimes you want some maturity in the market before you introduce products there. So how do we map out our whole portfolio? And given all of what I just said is why we started top down. And when I say top down, we started at the performance band, the
That's
F77.
what you wanted to target.
Yes. And when it came to defining performance, Chinese EVs have seen a lot of development in the ultra low end micro mobility delivery segments.
A to B kind of a segment.
And those are outputting what, about 1.5, 2 kilowatt, maybe 3 kilowatt of power, battery packs about 2 kilowatt hours.
You didn't want to be that at all.
And that's become commodity. Where is the innovation there? Innovation really, the white space was in tackling challenges related to performance, building your own batteries, building your own thermal management, building our own vehicle control systems. We call it the flight control system on the vehicles. And how much of hardware and software coordination happens through the vehicle control systems. Then we go into subcomponents like the controllers, the chargers. Because
owning all of that,
real IP is here. Right? And it's been commoditized for the super low end segments.
So, and in India, maybe that's again a problem. Like you said, R&D is not localized enough. IPs is not something that Indian companies are known to own, even if they have like global collaborations. So that again, like having cracked that, I'm sure that is something that takes a lot of time to figure out as well. Yeah, which is why
Absolutely.
the long journey.
Yeah. We gave ourselves about five years to launch the first product. We showcased it. We were on track, right? 2016 is when we started. End of 2019, we first showcased the F77. If you recall, that had the 3 removable batteries.
Yes.
We were at the precipice of going into production, and COVID hit 3 months later.
So that was like a big disruption.
And I think even showcasing the motorcycle was a great thing, because sometimes we feel it's a great idea, I want to keep it to myself until the last minute. Are others going to copy what we're doing? Several thoughts, but showcasing it actually gave us real world feedback. While people appreciated the design, appreciated the performance, we held our first ever, we were the first EV company to ever put a vehicle at MMRT, like an international racetrack in the country. And we had the community, the media community join us, seasoned riders join us, and they gave us feedback. We got a lot of feedback from our launch from the prospective customers. The critical part was range. At that point, we were able to offer a range of about 150, 160 kilometers on 3 batteries. Combined was about 4.5 kilowatt hour at that point. And overall feedback was, it's a motorcycle. I'd love to not just do urban riding, but also the weekend rides as well. Can you offer me north of 200 kilometers?
That was a big challenge first.
So we went back to the drawing board. Cell format changed, went from 18650 to 2170. The entire battery architecture, we rethought our whole earlier thought process about having it modular. And I think 18 months down the line, we had our first battery pack, the SRB10, that was capable of doing an IDC range of 323 kilometers. That was a phenomenal jump from where we were at. And we managed to do that without fundamentally changing the price points. So we'd spoken about price points in the 3 to 3.5 lakhs at that point. I mean, when we first showcased in 2019, and we were able to launch it between 3.5 to 4 or thereabouts. So.
Right. So now with countries opening up, we've heard about trade becoming freer, countries also becoming more protectionist of their own brands, local players coming up. So all of the new churn in supply chain and global order is sort of shifting. Amidst that, we've seen the India-EU FTA as well. For players like you with big global aspirations, and even you've opened up in many European markets as well. So how does that play into your future strategy going forward from here?
See, first question more on the supply chain side. I think India is such a vast, large market. We will collectively solve it. Supply chain issues, we have teething issues. We had rare earth magnet disruption about 3 months back. Something else, a couple of years, the semiconductor issue happened during the aftermath of COVID. So we've periodically come across such instances, but the market is so large, not just for our local players, even for the international players. We've seen all the European, American, we've got Asian brands now vying for market share in India. We will collectively solve supply chain, because the overall market here is among the largest in the world. And if you look at two-wheelers, I'd say India is a larger market than China also when it comes to powered two-wheelers. And when I say powered, I mean the spectrum of 100 to say 500 cc of scooters and motorcycles. India is the largest by far.
So that again becomes like a target segment for you going forward.
So of course there are a few dependencies on certain other geographies for minerals, chemicals that may not locally be available. But I think at a industry level, we are forging different supply chain options, partnerships. And for us as a company also, we have investors on board that are based out of Japan, based out of Europe, based out of India itself.
That gives you big global exposure.
US, yes, that gives us that global exposure.
Right. And about the EU FTA, if you could tell in terms of the impact for an Indian player, that's again going to be big.
Yes. I think it is a big impact. I hope it all unfolds in the way that we anticipate, and it's going to fast track Indian products going international, and also good quality products from Europe now entering India at more accessible price points. I think it's going to work both ways. For brands like us that want to go beyond just creating if I was to ask you this question of what Indian startup has gone beyond SaaS or service or e-commerce, we don't have too many examples. But we need that. We need tech-driven startups. We need a lot more focus on hardware, software, robotics integration in the country.
And thinking global like you
yes.
do, for example.
Yes.
Yeah. You've just had a fundraise. Take us back to day zero, the journey of getting that first money in the bank.
Sure.
How difficult was that? Because for an auto startup, it's very tough. It's a very heavy, intensive, capital intensive industry. It's not
Sure.
easy. You do not have proof of concept. So it's a very tricky slope, so to say. How difficult was that?
I think in the early stages, being ignorant of some of these things helped us go boldly into certain decisions that we took. But of course, a lot more data, information, experience has all come in today. Easy for me to answer this question today, but back in the day, it was sheer passion and the hope that we create something that the world is proud from India, right? That was the core objective at that point, yes.
That we say, yeah.
So, from both of us worked for a while, right, before coming back to India. So, we had saved up some money. I think we sustained for about 8-9 months, exhausted our personal savings. It was about 4 people in the company at that point. And I think what we did was, a good decision was to work inside out. We figured the core tech is not coming from re-engineering the mechanics, the brake systems, the suspensions, the chassis, because those are manufacturing processes that have been optimized over many decades. And there are multiple partners and suppliers partners that are really good with these things. So where is the maximum number of unknowns? And that was in the battery and the overall powertrain electronics.
Because EV at that point wasn't a very common.
Yes. So battery, BMS, vehicle control unit, the overall software across the vehicle, subsequently the controllers and the chargers became the most critical parts of this puzzle. And we started with the battery because that was the biggest
roadblock, so to say.
Roadblock, and we're building performance machines, right? And we're building a battery pack that is supposed to output 30 to 50 kilowatts of power, and that hadn't been done at all in the industry.
And you can't afford a compromise in terms of that, because for your audience, it has to work as good as an ICE vehicle.
Exactly.
It can't be like a compromise because it's an EV, so I'm willing to go through that. So that I'm assuming was a big factor.
Yes. If you look at the EV scooter market today, market share is between EV players. Today for us, market share is from ICE players, right? So it was a very different mentality that we had to take to approach this. But we cracked a lot on the battery, the BMS, even the removable batteries were doing the highest energy density. I mean, on a volumetric and weight level at a pack, it was about 9.5 kgs per pack, and each one was able to output about 10 kilowatts of power, cumulatively 30 kilowatts, and that was phenomenal engineering, and that still did not convince most financial investors we met back in the day, because the oft asked questions were, there are the big players in the country and across the globe, how do you hope to compete with that? But of course, we were confident that the kind of problems and technological solutions and the way to solve these require such in-depth R&D from a new lens perspective. The same guys that have optimized one form of technology for the last 5 decades may not be the right mindset to optimize on these lines.
So a relook at the whole ecosystem. When can we see some of the products?
No, we've got quite a few in this building. Happy to walk you through.
Let's do a walk around there if that's okay with you. You spoke about what didn't get you the investment, but then can we understand what got you the investment and then that first round of fundraise?
See that, like I said, we worked inside out. It was the battery tech and the BMS systems that we figured out. So that and part of the VCU. This battery that you see here is of course the production ready version, but back then it was still the earlier versions, and we had over 50 patents applied on it from the BMS development, the software side, the embedded systems, and of course the battery, the thermal management. How do you manage electrical safety, thermal safety, mechanical safety, electronics, all of it coming together. And like I said, outputting that kind of power. So we actually studied how NASA
optimizes battery packs for astronauts in space, right? Because these are life critical systems. But they use really high grade ceramics in some of these battery packs. But that is not cost wise sustainable or practical. But how do we then get that kind of efficiency but with materials locally available here?
That was the big challenge.
Yes, and that's what we solved, and I think that was crucial for the first check. In fact, came in from a person called Vishesh Rajaram, who runs a fund called Speciale.
Yeah,
and
that was in what year?
That was sometime in 2016 itself.
Okay.
But by then, about 8-10 months of R&D experimentation had happened on our side, and we had a rideable vehicle, fully functional with
The battery.
excellent battery tech on it at that point.
So you were able to show that proof of concept, and that then only you went for that first fundraise. That's what has worked for you.
Yes.
So for a future entrepreneur who's looking into the automotive space, that's like a big lesson. That go with a good proof of concept, and then only you can, because it's a crowded market, like you said. So that differentiation has to be there. So for you, the way I see it, it's been design, it's been tech. Anything else that is like future differentiation from that point of view, if you want to build on that?
I think we'll keep doubling down on this. We have recently at CES showcased our AI systems, working with another partner. Now coming towards, the Iron Man and Jarvis equation, right?
Yeah.
Like your co-pilot or your wingman on the right. So that's what we're building. So there's hardware, software, AI, all of it coming together. Tech is going to be core to what we do. Design, of course, has functional and non-functional requirements to fulfill. What does the brand stand for is represented by the design of the vehicle. Plus on a motorcycle, it's a lot more complex than a scooter, because on a scooter you're perched on a seat. And a motorcycle you're integrated with the vehicle, doing a lot higher speeds, leaning at a lot steeper angles, right? So that's where the design process, where form and function and rider come together, is super critical. So you see the internals here, but when you see the process, you would see images of the clay model there, right? That is a hand sculpted process which takes between 4 to 6 months of various iterations, where we go from initially sketches. These are all hand drawn sketches on paper. From here we go into more 3D models to evaluate, and then it goes into clay to get a rider on the product and test 1:1 whether it's suiting the ergonomics and the riding dynamics.
Do you see AI disrupting the process? Because as we see, for example, China, the turnaround times are shrinking like anything. They're building a car in less than a year. Crazy timelines. Do you feel pressure that, because even in Indian market, we see, especially in the passenger vehicles, also in the two-wheeler space, it's becoming a lot more aggressive in terms of demand and how aggressive the market is becoming. So is that like a challenge at this point?
See, I think it's also going to reach a tipping point. I don't necessarily agree with quantity as the answer. I think quality is interesting. And the way we're building our tech, while most companies are building products, we are building platforms. And that is the inherent advantage of the last 8 years or 9 years of R&D that has gone in. While the F77 took us a good solid 7-8 years from early design to launch the product, the X47 happened in about 2 years of timeline.
So the timelines are shrinking, and future product portfolio will see more of that.
And that's because we're building platforms, and these are modular platforms. The battery packs can scale across different power bands from say 10 kilowatt to 50 kilowatt. The voltage bands can scale. The controller systems are modular. Of course, the BMS is calibrated for various chemistries of cells in case we want to adapt to a different chemistry in the future. Chargers, we're also already running on the X47, the world's most power dense charger on a two-wheeler. So all of these are, I would say, imagine them as Lego blocks, where we figure out a use case, the functional requirement, and then we can get these together as modular and robust units.
Sure. Let's see some of the products.
Cool.
Yeah, come. So this is like
this is the X47. What you saw there was the internals of the F77. And you see it's the same powertrain that is on the X47 as well. That's the desert wing. That's the fully loaded version of the final X47. But this is what I was talking about, the onboard charger. This today is the world's most power dense air-cooled charger.
And it's in demand, and your audience is sort of lapping it.
Yes, we've started delivering these units. This was a 2.5 year project for us to take up and complete.
Yeah.
Not only did we have to solve for the functional needs, but this is also much more compact and energy dense. If you look at a scooter charger, they typically do 500 to 700 watts of charging at a much bigger weight and volume.
Yeah.
We are doing 1600 watt of charging at such a small
so that's
footprint.
again a big challenge to
Yes.
solve. So if you look at your products,
Right.
The sense that I get from the market is that people love your products because they're performance driven, and that segment is obviously hungry for more. They are experimental, in terms of their choices. It's not like it's a commuter segment like we spoke about. But then faster product action is something that everyone wants from you. So is 2026 and the following years going to be that time where we'll see more product actions coming in, more refreshes coming in from your side?
Yeah, 2026 is for sure that pivotal year for us. Maybe I'll give you some context.
Yes.
This is the F77 Mark II. This is what we
your hero product when
first
you
launched.
Yeah.
This of course is very central to capturing one's imagination of what an electric vehicle could be in terms of being exciting, looking exciting, riding exciting. And the sports motorcycle segment is not necessarily the largest segment in terms of market share today, but in terms of mind share, it still is the largest in terms of building trust in our product, right? So when we started top down, we were clear that we start with this, and now this is the same product that is retailing in Europe as well. And I'm also proud to say the F77 that retails in Europe has no hardware changes than what retails in India.
The same product that's sold in India is going there as well.
And it's the other way around, right? Typically we get watered down versions of stuff abroad in our country, but changing lot
that's
of those.
what being an Indian player going to global markets can change, right? Because that's one of the advantages. You control a lot of supply chain, you control a lot of quality, like you said. So I think that always helps.
And I'll tell you one more thing. When we had our first test rides, typically you've seen flags of different countries. Ducatis carry the Italian flag proudly on their vehicles, and we had the Indian flag here. And then when media saw that in Europe and recognized that wow, it's a
Indian product,
proud made in India product, that was, I think, for all of us a very exciting moment. So we started here. This is the X47. This is a motorcycle that we launched around September 2026. Deliveries began late October. Now we're into about 4 or 5 months of active ramp up of the X47. So while that is catering to the sports segment, this is a crossover which caters to a wide band of motorcycle users. I would say from street motorcycles to roadsters to off-road, this has being a crossover, it has a capability of all of those.
But more massy as compared to, in terms of segment.
In terms of volume, yes, a much bigger segment, and we're also seeing that in terms of our sales growth as well.
Of course.
Right now, from the X47, what we've done is some remarkable new features also. When I said doubling down on tech over and over and over again, this today is the world's first motorcycle with radars as standard feature across all variants. So the radar unit sits here. It's been calibrated for India and India's requirements. It's got about 200 meters of sensing capability, and we can do real-time blind spot detection, collision alert, overtake alert, lane change assist.
Lovely.
All that you get on the ADAS in cars, we are bringing it to you at 2.5 lakhs on a motorcycle. That was an incredible challenge. The onboard charging. With the onboard charger, all we need is a cable that goes in from here to the wall. Maybe I'll show you what that looks like. That's it. A cargo trouser pocket is all you need to carry this. So this goes in here. And any 15 amp socket, it can be a hotel, a dhaba, a charging station, formal charger, all of it can.
So you don't need like a proper charging infrastructure, because that again will take so many years. So it's pretty flexible, interoperable, and you see it's pretty adaptive for an audience that's coming new into the fold.
Correct.
Yeah, so it's solving all those teething issues.
Yes. The F77 didn't have the onboard charger, but this vehicle comes with it.
And I'm sure that was one of the learnings when you were, because that was the product that got you into the market. And this, I can see a lot more improvements and you listening to the market in terms of more tech, whether it's solving charging issues, onboard charger. So I'm sure that helps.
Also, the segment warrants it because consumers of this X47 are more likely to go longer distances.
Yeah.
So having charging on the go was part of the product requirements as well.
Yeah.
Yes, and also feedback that came in from the field of all our owners. Our owners are called the UV Squadron. That's the name of the community.
Yeah.
And so beyond that, there is so much more tech that has gone into this vehicle in terms of performance. We are the only manufacturer to offer dual channel ABS, regenerative braking. This is something interesting, right? Most two-wheelers in the market recover 5 to 7% of energy via regen.
Yeah.
We are able to recover up to 30% of energy via regen. So let me show you a quick demo. So I'm setting the regen to 0.
Yeah.
And now with the motor armed, so you see it continues to freewheel.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to take the regen up to say level 3, level 4. You see that deceleration?
Yeah.
And I'm going to dial it all the way up to 9.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's the kind of deceleration we're able to get through regen, and all that energy goes back to the battery pack to recharge the batteries.
Yeah.
Right?
And I'm sure customers love it in this segment.
Because with high regen in city traffic, you're just on throttle. You don't need to use the brakes as much.
Yeah. Yeah. So looking forward,
Yes.
what are the, I'm sure you get this
Yes.
a lot, but then where is this journey taking you in terms of more product aggressive? How do you see the market developing? Because it was a choice to operate in a very niche segment. Electric bikes is still something that people maybe are not open towards it. It's obviously a very good product in terms of if you want to experience EV for the first time, or someone who's looking at it as a third or a fourth vehicle initially. But today obviously things are changing. What are your expectations from the market?
So with our motorcycles, I'll tell you, based on data we have of a few thousands of owners across the country, it's everybody's first product.
Yeah.
It is Monday to Friday office and back, and of course the longer.
This one.
Both of these actually. It's I think people tend to think a particular segment of bikes are more recreational in nature, but I think in India we don't have that luxury.
Right.
People tend to own one scooter and one motorcycle in a home. Most people don't have the parking space or the funds to have 4 or 5 two-wheelers.
Yeah.
So in that, I think every motorcycle becomes your go-to product. While the F77 is already doing that, this opened up the scale in terms of different types of consumers using the product.
Getting into the
Yes.
fold, but then where do you go from here?
So from here, you've seen we've expanded our product accessibility with the X47, and 2026 also, where Shockwave and Tesseract are also hitting the market.
Right.
We've
very excited
unveiled
for
them.
both this. Yeah.
Yeah, very, very exciting products. We've cut no corners in terms of maintaining the DNA of what we stand for, which is design, which caters to both functional and emotional aspects. Tech, the Tesseract also comes with radars. Yeah. Radars, when we announced it on the Tesseract, was seen as a, are they really going to get this to market? But we actually surprised people with radars coming on the
Game
X47.
changers. Yeah.
So it's already here, functional. We're going to scale that up. Dash cam systems, we have the dash cams on some of these vehicles here. So there's a lot in terms of tech that is going to contribute to how this, at least electric mobility is going to grow. IC engines may not have that inherent ability, because you're working purely on analog systems with some ECUs, etc., and maybe Bluetooth systems.
Yeah.
But here we have access to each and every component on the vehicle, from the batteries to the motors to the cluster to voltage data, temperature data, current data. We can predict if something is not functioning as per what it should be doing, right? So the Tesseract that way is fully tech loaded, and when we say it's the world's most advanced scooter, we really
mean it.
are packing everything into it.
Okay.
Shockwave is of course a very versatile product that was appealing to college students as well as seasoned trail dirt bike enthusiasts as well. And today our roads also require a little more of versatile riding. We've seen products like the X-Pulse, the Himalayans doing well. These products are not recreational products. Those who own any of these IC products as well use it to office and back as commute and the weekend longer rides, right?
Yeah. So the way I see it, you're moving more into the mass market segment, getting more incremental volumes, at least that's the aspiration, because you've tested 2 products already, facelifts have come, now you have enough understanding of the market. So now volume is going to be a big focus from here on. Do like market share pressures bother you, or you're like unfazed, and I mean, how is the future growth journey going to be?
See, there's two things here, right? There is volume and then there is profitability also.
Exactly.
If you look at a larger incumbent, these companies would have enough of a cash reserve to have different tactical approaches towards gaining market share. But for a startup, we have to have a fine handle on both of these aspects, which means a very good control on your BOM costs, even at a smaller scale, and even as you scale up, that's going to be a lot more critical. Profitable as a company to sustain subsequent products hitting the market, expansion happening, and reinvesting all of that back into innovation. Right? If we don't do that, we are not Ultraviolette anymore.
Correct. So when do you finally see that path to profitability happen? Is there a plan in place? Because that's where most startups at this scale, when they're sort of looking at the next phase of growth, that's what they think about, and I'm sure it's no different for you as well.
I think 2026 we're looking at an operational break-even, and 27 will be an EBITDA.
Lovely. And then IPO at some point?
I mean, that's something we have our eyes on, but don't want to get distracted by that. There's other milestones to go. But I think a 24-month window should be something to consider from an IPO preparation or a process perspective.
Lovely. And global expansion, talk a bit about that. That's again on the cards. You've already been very aggressive. Very few players look at domestic as well as global expansion side by side and execute it as well. So I'm sure that's again been a very tough call, and you've managed to execute it very well. So how will that global expansion shape up in 2026?
Sure. So 25 was a pilot for us and unlocking a lot of these important markets. 26 is going to be more building scale and volumes globally as well. So global expansion actually goes back to 2016, where all the decisions taken on hardware, software, architectures were with global certification in mind. Right? We were clear right at the start that we need to take this brand. Of course, India is a key market, but we need to go beyond as well. Europe is critical because Europe has among the very stringent of certification processes. Took us about 18 months to get the process done, get our certification. It wasn't a single sheet certificate. Certificate was a 400-page document, right? So that's how exhaustive the process was. And now that everything has been done for the F77, the X47 is currently in certification in the advanced stage. This should hit the market in Europe as well in 26. Today we are in about 10 countries across Europe. Germany, France, UK, Spain, Portugal, Netherlands, Belgium, Italy. All of these markets are where we have our presence today. And
so going deeper into these markets?
Going deeper into these markets, and of course the new product coming in also will cater to a different audience there. But yeah, it's the response from Europe has been quite interesting. In fact, the early days of when we were testing these products, right? So the process was, we first showcased Ultraviolette at EICMA with only the F77 back in 2023, right? And that's the first time the world of two-wheelers got aware of Ultraviolette, and they were very inquisitive and excited by what they saw. It's not a boring electric vehicle, it's something that promises excitement. 2024, we were there again with a wider set of products and the concept version of the X47. This wasn't launched yet. That gave the distributors a lot more confidence that, we are growing into multiple categories. We invited them to India. they visited the production facility, got a lot more context to what we're building. We sent each of the distributors a few of the motorcycles to test out in the local markets, got feedback from them, calibrated some of our systems to function optimally there as well. And that's what it's taken to.
Yeah, been a long journey and a very exciting one. Thank you so much for spending time with us and putting into context what all it takes to sort of build a startup, scale it up and go to that next phase of growth. All the best, because I'm sure the future products from your stable are again going to be very exciting, and all the best to you, because domestic market is obviously waiting for more and more excitement.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And we are firing on all cylinders. 2026 is going to see a lot of exciting news from us.
Absolutely. Looking forward. Thank you.
Thank you.